Week 5, just after the quarter mark, and some teams are looking good. Some teams are already playing for their playoff or season lives. I have no idea. Some of these teams on that ladder didn't think would be there. Some surprises, though, at 3-1. So, Nutmeg, what are you thinking?
Happy Cinco de Football.
Yes. Yes, week 5. slowly grinding to that halfway point. It's going to be interesting, but week 5's got some interesting matchups, I must say.
And before we get into it, why don't you explain to the audience, especially the listening audience, for our next day air, your fine threads you're rocking for this show?
Yes, as we all usually know, it's something Buccaneers, but today I'm paying homage to the Washington Sentinels and maybe the greatest quarterback in Washington Sentinels history, Shane Falco. One of the greatest football movies of all time. You can fight me on it to the ends of time, but Shane Falco was a bad man.
6 big scars.
That's right. What other guy could be scraping barnacles off a boat and then just football playoff greatness? Shane Falco, he's your guy.
Pain is temporary, glory is forever.
Exactly.
Speaking of things being temporary, the Niners' health circumstances this season seem to be a very fleeting thing. Is it time to have the conversation that Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy?
Dude, I'm telling you, man, the Niners are a walking mash unit, and regardless, they look good tonight. Mac Jones, I think maybe he wasn't a New England guy, but he's here in Ninerland, and he's lighting it up. Got to give him credit. He's hitting some great throws, running that offense well, and yeah, I think for some reason if Brock doesn't play next week and, the Niners come out with a win with Mac Jones, I think you almost kind of have to have the conversation. Do you go with the hot hand?
Yeah, it's kind of, especially they brought Brock back last week, and I kind of felt like they were bringing him back too early. But even to bring him back when Mac Jones was already playing well, like even if you're not gonna give up the job to the hot hand, you at least okay, the kid's playing well. There's no reason to rush Brock in here.
Well, yeah, there is that contract. Point blank, it's the contract. You're not going to sit this guy. He's what, like you're almost your $60 million guy. You're not going to have him sit in the bench while, you got Mac Jones making $17 an hour running your offense. Yeah. Like, let's be real here. So they rushed him and it didn't work. They would have been smart to keep him. But yeah, now you have that situation of if Mac continues to go well, is it the quarterback or is it the system?
To that point, I almost feel like we're gonna get to a point where in like quarterback negotiations where the pendulum swings back around the other way, because we've seen so many quarterbacks get that big money because that's what the market dictates, and we've also seen those fair share of quarterbacks not live up. I mean, we bust on Dak all the time. Jordan Love is not living up to that money. Brock Purdy, although a lot of that's due to injury, but is also not living up to that money. So I feel like it's going to get to the point where the market for quarterback money stops pressing to pay everyone $60 million a year.
I don't know if it ever really does. Teams are desperate. If you've got someone who's a decent quarterback, you're gonna overpay because you don't want to lose them because of the great unknown that is the NFL draft and free agency. Right now, Mac Jones he's in a perfect position. Let's say he gets to play another 2 or 3 games. He's got stuff on tape. He looks great. He goes free agency. Some team is going to give him a decent contract. He will be able to battle for a starting spot. And let's be honest, there are some teams that look like they may need some quarterback help. So the Niners may be looking at themselves saying, did we overpay for Brock Purdy? Were we a victim of overpaying, the whole market bit? what were you going to do? I think if they had known what they had, if Mac Jones comes in and they're like, okay, well, Mac Jones is pretty good. Let's let him battle it out and really see what happens. Who knows if Brock gets the contract? We don't know. It's right now. It is what it is. But if you're Shanahan and you're thinking maybe this guy is the key to my Super Bowl hopes, maybe you write him out. Maybe, like I said, it's almost a $60 million mistake, but a Super Bowl would erase that.
And it almost creates an interesting situation as far as, let's say Brock is healthy and he's capable, and Mac Jones is still playing hot. Do you, depending on how the season's going, do you like dangle one like, hey, you guys need a quarterback? We'll give you this young guy on the cheap, who's better than you have, or try to figure out a way to get out from that Brock contract. And it's like, well, we're good with this young guy because he's playing so well with us. Do you want Brock Purdy? He's been to a Super Bowl.
I don't know if a team would eat it. They'd have to be desperate. They would have to truly believe that Brock Purdy is that missing piece to their team. If Mac Jones lights it up and they ride him out and he's great, they may sit there and say, well, maybe they put anybody in that position who's decent. Do they have the same success? It's going to be interesting. I think once Brock is 100%, though, I think he does take the reins back. But it could be a situation where if Brock it's not clicking or something seems off, they may go back to Mac Jones and see what happens. But the Niners are walking a fine line here. Their window's closing, so they're going to go with whoever they feel is going to give them that last chance at Super Bowl glory.
Yeah. What's your take on the Rams offense here? Because there's been a lot of nothing, and the Niners defense is not exactly super healthy. Nick Bosa's out for the season. But the Rams, I kind of figured the Niners are still a decent unit even without Bosa, but I kind of figured the Rams would get a little bit more going besides just a little out route to Kyren Williams.
Yeah, it's weird. Devontae Adams has pretty much been non-existent. They've tried to force a lot of stuff to Puka. They've had a couple other guys make some catches, but it's interesting. I think the secondary's played well for the Niners, and it's really forcing Matt Stafford to hold the ball a little longer, check it down a little quicker than he wants to. Stafford has missed a couple throws, so I think in the second half they'll clean it up a bit, but it is a bit surprising.
Yeah. Now these two, both 3-1 as they headed into Thursday's game. But it's also a kind of a 3-horse race for the NFC West, because Seattle is also 3-1 and they host your Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, very much licking their wounds off that loss to the Eagles. So I guess for whichever direction you want to take this first, from Seattle's perspective as far as keeping up with the Joneses, or from Tampa's perspective trying not to fall back into the pack.
Let's see. When it comes to Seattle, I'm sure they're watching this game intently. They can't sleep on the Niners. The Niners are, they're 3-1. They're playing well. So I believe they're sitting there watching that. I think everyone kind of foregone conclusion thought that the Rams were going to be the team to beat out of this division, but they're seeing some things probably, and they're like, hey, we can exploit this or we can exploit that. Seattle has a great secondary, young, fast, hard hitters, so that's going to probably, play into their thought process against these two teams going forward. But Seattle, like you said, just has to keep up with the Joneses. If one of these teams loses and Seattle ends up losing, it's not the worst. It's not the end, because I think this division is going to come down to probably the last couple weeks. It's definitely going to come down to divisional games. So a loss really doesn't do anything horrible to Seattle. But, a win definitely kind of, it's 1A and 1B. Two teams will be 4-1. One team will be 3-2. You like to have that naotch in your belt. When it comes to Tampa's kind of the walking wounded right now. It looks like Bucky Irving. It looks like Bucky Irving's not playing. Luckily, Rachaad White has played well this season, so it's kind of going back to 2 years ago. The line's a little beat up. Luckily, Chris Godwin's back, so It's going to be interesting to see how the Bucs attack this. I think it's going to be a lot of screen, a lot of short kind of stuff. Ibuka, of course, is going to be the main attraction, NFC Rookie of the Month. So
much deserved.
It's gonna be just a situation of the Bucs defense just kind of holding serve. I think Seattle's a better passing team than they are a running team, so I think they're gonna throw a lot as well. It's gonna be interesting how this game plays out, but if the game is close and it's the fourth quarter, you know who my money's on.
Well, that's the other thing with Baker. You spoke to the skill level of Seattle secondary, and no Mike Evans this week with Godwin being very fresh off an injury. Is that enough to take the attention off of Ibuka? Because that secondary, of course, is going to very much zone in on him, and Baker may have a tough day.
Yeah, but it's also a situation where if Baker breaks out of the pocket, you have to account for his legs. So it's one of those things where if a play breaks down, it could be like it was the second half against the Eagles. They were able to throw on that defense. You had Bucky Irvin, who actually scored on a 77-yard touchdown pass. Rachaad White's a quality receiving back. So, and I think the tight end, Cade Otton's going to factor very large in this game. So there are pieces that the Bucs can use, but when you have a guy like Mike Evans and Ibuka, you're going to go to your 1A and 1B. This is Chris Godwin's second game back. He was on fire last year before he got hurt. He's still a quality high-end receiver. Don't forget when he was in free agency, teams were throwing money at him, and he decided to come back to Tampa. So it's not like Chris Godwin's just all right, we just got this guy, and he's we're gonna have to work with him and hope he does something. He's a quality slot receiver, so I think there's gonna be some things that he's gonna be able to to exploit a bit. But Baker's shown that when plays break down, he can make stuff happen. They just like I say, it's 1 point better. That's all you got to be. And first 3 games, they proved that. So this may be one of those games.
Based on what you've seen over the last year and change in Sam Darnold's resurgence, is there anything to make you concerned about Tampa's defense against him?
I think it's a situation where they may try to force Sam to throw. You don't have to worry about him, running out of the pocket. He's not a running quarterback. He's a sit in the pocket throw guy. Like I said, their run game is decent. It's, they're solid. It doesn't scare you. So it's going to be one of those things where if they can control the line of scrimmage, have him hold the ball a little bit, he may make a mistake here or there. It's just going to be whoever plays the most clean game is going to probably come out on top.
So you would rather drop the extra defender or 2 back and make things tight, very tight windows for Sam, and take your chances as far as one-on-one coverage of the line of scrimmage with Charbonnet and Kenny Walker.
Yeah, because they're not going to run. They're not going to run up in the middle. They wouldn't be able. They can't stop Villa. Villa has proven time and time again he's an elite nose guy right there in the middle. So they would have to bust it outside. The Bucs have some young athletic corners who can play the run as well. So I would say, okay, Sam, they paid you the money, you beat us. And if he does it, he does it. But if it's a situation where, he kind of falls into that Sam Darnold of last year towards the end of the season where things kind of fell apart, then, the Bucs have a shot there.
Brass balls, Bucs, McGee. So you're not the only one on this podcast licking their wounds heading into week 5. My Colts very much are doing the same. Spirited effort against these Rams last week, but we fell short, and now we're back home hosting the Raiders, a very much spirited Raiders team this year, but still struggling and getting out of the gates 1-3.
Yeah, it looks like the Raiders are slowly starting to find their groove, starting to get a rhythm. When it comes to the Colts, Pittman's hurt. He's got a bit of a hamstring, so I think at this point he's questionable. And we've talked about him and how you feel he's just an overglorified number 1, but not a true number 1.
Yeah.
So I think,
Although to that point, I did think there was a chance he had an opportunity to reclaim some of that hype with Daniel Jones.
Indiana Jones. Let's call him by his real name, Indiana Jones.
Not Henry. Don't call me Henry. I named the dog Indiana.
I think it's just going to be, just continue to focus on the run game and don't, let Daniel do what he does, and what he has done is, not force anything, let the offense come to him. I still, I think they can win this game. Yeah, you wish you had Pittman because he's that guy who can get you that first down. He's a volume receiver, so you're going to miss that a bit if he doesn't play. But, I think you're going to go to, your tight end, Warren a lot more, run the ball, and just let Indiana Jones do what he does.
I'm such a big fan of Warren so far in his rookie campaign. He's been so far worth every dime he was sold as. The one things I'm concerned is, one, the over reliance on Taylor, because I'm concerned he could break down at any given point and miss time. And what is this offense going to be without relying on him? And then, of course, like I say, every year for the last several seasons or so, no pass rush, no pass rush, no pass rush.
Well, with Taylor, he's the guy. So you got to run him out. If he breaks down this year, then I think they strongly have to start looking towards the future for a new running back. You're going to have to sit there and say, okay, he's, falling apart. He's getting older. We've got to go new. So I think you go that route. It was interesting this week, Xavier Howard all of a sudden retiring.
Yeah.
He comes back and then all of a sudden he's like, okay, now I have to be there for my kids. Well, don't you want to be there for your kids regardless? Didn't you know this? Didn't you know you had kids before the season started? But, I think their defense will be okay. And you just got to play clean ball. That's what it is. The keys to it are going to be the run game and how you can work the passing game with a limited Pittman if he's at best limited.
Right. This game, I feel like, could very much be the game of the weekend. Denver has fought themselves back to 500, and nothing kind of is just what the doctor ordered more than playing the Cincinnati Bengals defense. But now it's a significantly taller task as they go into Philadelphia. So just when we think the Broncos are right back being the Broncos we thought they would be, here are the champs.
Yeah, but let's be honest.
Do you think that defense matches up well against the Eagles? I mean, Jalen's been spreading around a little bit more. So
but the second half of the Bucs game, they had no passing yards. Like their offense fell stagnant. Yeah. They were one Baker Mayfield interception away from losing that game. Mm-hmm. A lot of people would say that. So it's not like it's this vaunted Philly offense. It seems like the first half they kind of know what they want to do, and then the second half it's like, well, I don't know. Do we throw the ball? Do we run the ball? What do we do? Saquon hasn't been like. Let's be real. Like you don't know what they're doing. Saquon hasn't been Saquon of last year, so the run game has suffered. So this could be a game where Denver it ends up being like a 19-17 game, and Denver pulls it out. You can't hang your hat on blocking kicks to score touchdowns and stuff every week. That's not how the league works. Yeah, they're the champs and you give them the respect, but you got Denver. Denver knows how to win too. They can pull out some tight ones as well. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think this game will really show where Denver is, mentally. Yeah. Like, you're going into Philly, and I've seen games in Philly, and that's a nasty place. That's like, that place is just nasty, and Bo Nix is going to have to pull it out. The run game is going to have to be on point, but I give them a puncher's chance. Their defense is good. Like, their secondary is legit. It's not like they have a has-been defense. It's just whether they can score. And I think they can.
What did you see in person from that Philadelphia defense to make you to kind of give you a clues as to what Bo Nix can do. Well, if Bo Nix can be successful against them, and what he can do to be successful.
Like the Eagles secondary, they're young, they're brash for sure. If Nix isn't, really like, if he's not focused on his throws, if he, and he decides to loft something up, they're going to take advantage of it. He's got to understand his routes, progression, and if you're going to hit the throw, hit the throw. If you don't have it, throw it away. Don't try to do too much. Because when you try to, roll out of the pocket, because that sometimes the Eagles will do that. They're going to kind of force you into some things that you don't want to do. Now, Nix can move with the ball. There's no doubt about it. But sometimes you've got to, lose a down. You got to lose a battle to win a war. And don't try to force something because you think you can make that throw. If you're not 100%, throw it away. You live to play another down. You have a great defense behind you. You don't have to force yourself. And that's what Sean Payton's done. He's built this defense to say, okay, if my young quarterback, I use young loosely because, Nix is a little up there to be, for a second-year guy. But, if he's having some trouble, we can lean on this defense, and that's what they've got. So I think Nix has played in high-pressure games, so I don't think he's going to be rattled that much. He just needs to be decisive in where he puts the ball because these kids will pick you off and take it back for 6.
A potential Eagles coming back to earth moment.
It very well could be. I think this week they're going to try to clean things up. We had the whole, AJ Brown, fiasco, and he was like, no, I wasn't talking about Jalen or the team with my tweet. Then what were you talking about, man? Like, you put this tweet out. It's not like you're talking about your gardener or your chef or something. Like, what were you talking about? Like, let's be real here. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully the Eagles don't do the thing where, you've got a disgruntled wide receiver, so you force feed them the ball 20 times in the first half, and, you try to make them happy because that doesn't work. I think they'll continue to do what they'll do. I think they'll make an effort. Yeah. And they had the last couple of games, the second half hasn't been the best for them. So I think they are going to try to get the run game back. Now, if the run game doesn't pan out this week, I think you may see a kind of a shift to a more pass-oriented offense because when Hurts can throw the ball, he's great at it. So we're going to see what happens. But like I said, Denver's defense is legit and is one of the elite in the AFC. So it's going to be a good game.
Look, McGee, it wouldn't be a football season if we didn't have AJ Brown drama.
That's true. He wasn't reading a book last week, but who knows? Maybe next week it'll be the iPad or something. He'll be painting or something. Read some, Bob Ross material. I don't know, but
Bob Ross, color by numbers, etch a sketch, all of the above.
Exactly. That's nothing but love for Mr. Ross. Pretty little trees.
The next game up, this is an interesting one. Talking about being brought down to earth. That's very much been Washington in this Jayden Daniels injury aftermath, but he returns to the field out to LA to play the Chargers, very much needing a win to come off of that loss to Jaxson Dart in the young quarterback's debut. So we've seen we've seen Washington exposed a little bit in these games without Daniels. So is this kind of low-hanging fruit for the Chargers to put up a crooked number against a poor defense and a poor offensive line, or is Daniels going to come back with authority?
This, I think, is a game that I hate to say a must win, but for the Chargers, I think this becomes a statement type game. Yes, Daniels comes back, Washington should feel excited and such, but like you said, their offense it's kind of in flux. Scary Terry's not playing this week, so it's going to be a lot of Debo. The run game is going to have to show up. The run game has to show up for Washington to have a shot. And that offensive line has to keep Daniels upright. If he ends up getting hurt and the knee ends up getting worse, their season's over. It's a wrap. But I think the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but I like the Chargers in this game. I just think they're on a whole other level. I think everyone needs, if anyone is still thinking this is, your dad's Chargers, where, they were great and then come, the end of the season, they just bottom out and you're just like, what the hell happened? No, this team is totally different. Harbaugh has them playing at a crazy level. The run game is solid. Herbie's playing unbelievable. The defense plays well. Washington is going to have to literally play almost a perfect game, I think.
Yeah, could be in this event. This could be a very, very rough start for Washington. A lot of expectation going into this year to effectively be, what would they be after this one? 1-4, 2-3.
Yeah, and like you said, the run game doesn't scare you. They've got some young guys, but this team doesn't scare you. So now I think you almost step back and say, and I talked about this. I said, last year was that anomaly where, everything happened just right. The Hail Mary in Chicago and all of that. And they were a team of destiny. Well, destiny came this year, and so far it's done whooped your tail. The holes are there in this team. So, you did a couple things to shore up this team in the offseason, but I don't think you did enough. And if you end up, going 7-10, then you're really going to have to overhaul a lot of stuff on this team, because you're going to look at it and be like, your tight end's too old, your middle linebacker, the heart of your defense is too old, your run game is suspect at best, your offensive line is rough. So there's a lot of holes that are starting to be exposed with this team. So they're going to have to shore it up and figure out a way, A, to keep Daniels upright, and B, be able to score points. And their defense is going to have to be able to keep teams under 25.
Yeah, a little penny wise and dollar foolish. They spent all their money to surround Daniels with more talent and didn't address any of those weak spots from the previous season.
Yeah, they read the Cincinnati Bengals book on how to run a team.
Yes.
The kid is young and talented, and you look at it and it's like, you don't wish anything on him, but it's almost kind of like RG3 in a weird way. Had the talent, but was just getting hurt because he had nothing around him, and then next thing you know, he's out of the league. So Washington needs to heed this and say, what do we got to do to keep this kid right? And if you blow this season, blow it, but make sure he's healthy and just figure it out in the offseason.
Yeah, and to your earlier point about it being a must-win for the Chargers, I think there's an extra fold to that, because the Chiefs, we were talking last week about, like, okay, pump the brakes on the Chiefs. There's still a lot of holes on this team. But they are back to 2-2, and they do face the Jaguars on Monday night, which I'm not really sold on the Jaguars. I may be a little biased here because nothing.
The upset pick of the week. The Jags do it. You might hate them, but the Jags do it. I'm telling you now.
Really?
Trevor's hair will flow, and all hell breaks loose in Kansas City.
I mean, but to that point, I mean, we dump on the Chiefs a lot, and rightly so, but their defense, we still give them their credit when it comes to their defense, and I can't see the Jags having success against that defense any more than anyone else has.
I'm going to tell you right now, man. See, you're falling for the fool's gold, known as the Chiefs offense, man. Okay, all they're going to do is clamp down Thornton, and then after that, it's like, okay, who are they going to? Because they can't run the ball.
Yeah, no.
Okay, now the Jags
are getting more touches by every week.
The Jags secondary is decent. Like, the Jags have a decent defense. It's the offense that's the issue. So all they have to do is make sure that that Sunshine, aka Trevor Lawrence, doesn't do anything stupid, eats the clock, and this can happen, man. Like, the Chiefs offense isn't back. they played a crappy team last week and were able to win. I give them credit because that's what you do. You can't pick who's on your schedule, but you can't tell me you're 100% sold that the Chiefs are back and you're ready to say they're going to take over and run the AFC West again this year. No,
I'm not. It's just to the opponent. It's just my point to the opponent right now.
Let your bias go. Now, mind you, I'm not a fan of Liam Cohen whatsoever, but you know what? We all in the NFL family have a common enemy, and we need to see it end. It started last year. We need to see it end for good.
Anyway,
you better bite your tongue singing that mumbo jumbo.
I was going to ask a follow-up, but you gave me an excellent segue to as far as that terrible team that the Chiefs beat last week. And we have a bit of a fraudulent penthouse head-to-head matchup here. As we've gone over last week, the Ravens are firmly number one tenant right now, but the Texans are kind of itching to be a roommate right now, so they square off against each other here.
See, here's the thing. I can't put the Texans in there, and here's the reason why.
Because you don't expect anything from the Texans.
This season, we were like, okay, I think people were like, they're going to be competitive, but it was modest. We didn't do to the Texans this year that we did last year. We were like, oh man, this is the team. Yeah. This is the team that's taken out the Chiefs. The party's over. We were on that bandwagon and we looked foolish. No. Right now, the only fraudulent penthouse members right now are your Baltimore Ravens. Now, I don't know, is Lamar cleared to play? I haven't checked yet.
I have not heard anything about Lamar all week. I think they're either keeping this way under the ropes, or they're just assuming it's going to be Cooper.
So, because here's the thing, if he doesn't practice tomorrow, he's not playing. That's pretty much a telltale sign. If your man doesn't practice on Friday, he's not playing unless, like you said, you want to keep it under wraps and bring him out in a Superman outfit and yada yada. But I don't think he's 100%, and got to be honest, that Texans defense, especially that defensive line is good. They're a good defensive team. They just have mental lapses. Yeah. That's the problem. Their defense is solid. It's the offense that just for whatever reason can't get it together. So I will tell you this. If Houston pulls it out, Houston wins. I think you got to say, all right, Baltimore, see you next year. And I think you might see some changes. Like, you have to really sit there and say that. Like, I don't get it. This team has so much talent, and yet we're sitting here saying they're 1-3 and could be almost writing themselves out of the playoffs in this week.
Baltimore won't have a chance to get out of the penthouse because you will walk up with 2x4s and a hammer and nails and lock them in there like it's a forsaken homeless drug house.
Oh my God! Well, first of all, they won't find their way out of the place because they can't score. It's not like they can find the end zone, so that's not a problem. But it's just all of the talent, and everyone gives Harbaugh a pass. Oh, it's not him. It's not. Then tell me, what is it? What is the issue that this team cannot take it to the next level? Any other team would be like, oh, coach is on the hot seat. It's time. But for some reason, Harbaugh continues to get the pass. There's got to be a point when it's like, all right, man, well, what's going on? What's the deal?
Crack house. That was the word I was looking for. You're going to lock them in the fraudulent penthouse like it's a decrepit crack house.
For our listeners here who have their children in the car, please turn this part of the show off. You don't have to listen to this. I apologize. Nutmeg's in a moment. You give the Texans and the Jags some love. He goes off the rails.
I didn't even think of that. Maybe it was subconscious of me.
Yeah. But yeah, Baltimore's got to figure it out. I think this is going to be the dare. I think if Lamar doesn't play, put all of you on your parlays, put your money on Derrick Henry, because it's going to be the Derrick Henry show.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Do you trust Cooper Rush? Yeah, I don't.
No one ever trusted Cooper Rush. He had like 2 great games in Dallas, whatever, but no. I don't see Cooper Rush going on a 3-game bender like Mac Jones and saving the Baltimore Ravens season. I just don't see it happening. I've been proven wrong plenty of times, but no. So this game is a must-win for Baltimore. For Houston to get back into the swing of things, they've got to win this game as well. So it's whoever plays less sloppy and can edge this out.
Especially if for some reason we were to stumble to Vegas and your upset special comes true and the Jags were to beat Kansas City. Houston, all of a sudden, despite this miserable start, is right back in the mix.
I'm telling you right now, man, the Jags are due for one great win to give them hope before they squander it. And this is it. This is the game.
See what I'm doing here? Reverse jinx there, trying to reverse jinx my divisional rivals.
Hey, man, whatever helps you sleep tonight, man. But
it might. Don't harsh my vibe.
Oh Lord.
A fun little segment we like to play sometimes is extra points.
That's good.
You have your kicking shoe ready, Bucs McGee?
I'm ready. I'm Chase McLaughlin, 65-yarder, baby. I'm good.
Oh, the fantasy darling, Chase McLaughlin. First up, this could be. There's a theme here. I mean, Baltimore's desperation as we roll into this sets up a few other games in desperation. So the first extra point is one of our favorite topics, the Dallas Cowboys coming off not a win, not a loss, but a tie. A 40-point tie. I don't know how that's possible. A 40-point tie. And they go into New York to play the Jets, a team very desperate. I don't want to say I have a ton of confidence in the Jets to pull the upset, but it is the Cowboys defense. All of a sudden, Justin Fields is going to put him a 50 spot, I feel like. So this is a desperation opportunity for the Jets to get off the schneid.
Oh, no. Dallas is putting like 50 on them. This is going to be an ugly game. If you got George Pickens on fantasy, I'm telling you now, put him in. Put him in, man. I had him in on a couple teams because I was like, this was his last gasp for air. I was like, if this man can't do it, I'm cutting him. And this man was putting up 20, 30 points for me. I'm telling you, the Jets defense is a hot mess. They can't do anything right. Fields, I wish the guy could find himself some success consistently, but when you take the money from the Jets, it's just a guaranteed just clusterfuck. I don't know what it is, but no, Dallas, I think overall has a better roster, and it's probably going to be like a 40 to like 28 point kind of win for him. Neither defense is really going to be great, but I doubt Dallas wins this game.
I mean, I know the Bengals are the bottom of the barrel as far as defense is concerned this year, but I never would have guessed you would have put another team's defense below Dallas.
The Jets just don't have it anymore. Sauce Gardner has just fallen off the face of the earth. I don't know what's up with him. He hasn't been good this year. The rest of that defense has just been – and that's surprising because Aaron Glenn was – well, he did come from Detroit, but they did have injuries and such. But when that defense was healthy, they were solid. I just don't get it. He's going to be the first Jets coach to go 0-5 in his rookie year. So it is what it is. I have no faith in the Jets whatsoever. When it comes to that Cowboys-Packers game, the Packers should feel foolish, absolutely foolish. The way that Dak dissected that defense was ridiculous. Even though Micah was on the bench a couple times and, the whole back kind of thing or whatever, regardless, there's talent on that defense. And for Dak and George Pickens, and that's really it, to chew you up like that, there's some questions there. So if he can do that to the Packers, what's he going to do to this Jets team?
Yeah, that's right. But maybe it's another 40-40 tie. You never know.
Load up them fantasy points. Get them going.
Now this one could be interesting. Here we have Jaxson Dart looking to have a winning streak to start his career, but he has to do so without future perennial All-Pro Malik Nabers out for the season with an ACL. I mean, at this point into October, that's looking like a significant injury into next season. But they go down to New Orleans, and this is another team like the Jets, a very, very desperate team for a win. So is this momentum for Dart with or without Nabers, or is the absence of Nabers enough of an opportunity for the Saints to catch the Giants, who are still not necessarily a great team in their own right, catch them by surprise and get off the schneid and get a victory?
No, give Jaxson Dart his second win, man. Like,
I'll talk about bias, Bucs McGee. I know you hate to
okay,
say it.
okay. So you tell me how great the Saints offense is. Like you tell me why you think what gives you hope that the Saints would win this game. I'm ready.
Nothing.
You let me know.
Nothing. But the only doubt in my head is doubt with the Giants because they're the Giants. There's no doubt in my head because the Saints have some kind of ability.
One name. Cam, the man himself, the running back phenom, the reincarnation of the A-Train Mike Allstott.
Scatterbo.
Cam Scatterbo. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna feed him the ball. They've got some decent receivers. Like, yeah, they're not, yes, Nabers is going to be missed. There's no doubt about it. But looking at both of these teams, I think the Giants have better skill players. Not by much, but they do. And I think their defensive line is head and shoulders above what the Saints have. So I think, Spencer Rattler's going to be, running for his life most of this game. It's going to be an ugly game. It might be a 17-9 fiasco. It could be quite ugly, but I think Dart just has it. And I think this is the perfect opponent for him to play. And I think the Giants get the win.
Yeah, that is the other side of it, because even if the Giants can't create much of an offense, their defense still has shown enough to keep Spencer Rattler under wraps.
Yeah, like their defense is going to keep them in the game, and there's going to be a turnover somehow. But like I said, the Giants are going to be able to run the ball, and I think, it's going to give them a bit of momentum. Then, they'll fall off the tracks next week or whatever, but that's fine. Just thank you for playing the Saints. I appreciate you.
Oh, yes, and then next week is a short week on Thursday against the Eagles, so reality.
Yep, exactly. But, I think Dart's got enough, and I think they'll work this offense around him to his strengths, and I think they can take the Saints. It's not going to be, America's game of the week, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we asked in the off season why Kellen Moore would take this job. I mean, in theory, maybe he just knew this team was so bad there was only so much he could do with it, and then they'll be in prime position to have his pick of the litter as far as the quarterback he wants next year.
See, the only problem is that you need more than a quarterback on this team. There's a lot of holes on this team.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of, but this was years and years and years of the Saints putting Band-Aids on things, paying guys too much, pushing money back, and this is where you're at now. This franchise is going to take years to get it fixed and get it fixed right. And I think Moore just wanted a job. So he was one of those guys who just wanted a coaching job so bad that he just took what was there. And lo and behold, that's what you took.
There they are.
there you are, dude. That ain't the Washington Sentinels you got there, buddy.
No. They're talking about teams that lo and behold, here we are. This is an interesting matchup because I really don't know who's worse than this, and I really don't know which team, or I should say maybe which quarterback is more on the hot seat between the Miami Dolphins and the Carolina Panthers.
Dude, this is rough right here because it's like,
How is it possible that potentially the worst game of the weekend could not feature the Jets or the Saints that we just discussed?
Like Miami, you're just I don't know. Like you feel bad for Tyreek, the injury's horrible. And, he's had the surgery, everyone's like, oh, he'll be back next year. But he's going to be a 31-year-old wide receiver, 31, 32. And that's a tough thing to come back from at that age. Yeah, he's got the speed. So will he be as fast? Or if he loses enough speed, he's just going to be a regular wide receiver, because that was his thing, his speed.
Yeah.
If he loses a step or two, it's a wrap. It's not like he's a possession guy. He's not a DeAndre Hopkins who's got hands of freaking glue who will catch whatever and can still play, because he's not a speed guy. He's a possession type guy. So that's going to be an issue. Miami is literally playing week to week for their coach's life. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Dave Canales is not under the same pressure that Mike McDaniel is, but at the same time, Dave Canales is also probably facing decisions whether or not to pull Bryce Young.
I think it's a point where ownership, and unfortunately, the ownership of the Panthers is a mess. No one Panthers fans don't like their owner at all. Temper's a hot mess. He's horrible. He should just sell the team and move on with his life. But what's going to happen is Canales is going to end up being a sacrificial lamb. That's what's going to happen. And whoever they bring in, then your second lamb will be Bryce. That's just what it is. Canales was great in Tampa, as an offensive coordinator, great guy. Again, one of those one and done guys. Okay, I had a great year. Now I want to be a head coach. Probably should have waited another year or two and got yourself a really good, secure kind of job.
Yeah.
But you're forever tied to Bryce Young, and unless they turn it around, which this team I just don't think is going to, this could be the end. So it's going to be a game where it's going to be ugly, and I don't know. I think Miami ends up winning this game just because I think their run game is just that much better. I think Achan's will be solid and will do enough to give them the win. But like I said, these two franchises, coaches are dead men walking.
Yeah, and Carolina's run defense is terrible. They give up almost 5 yards to carry. So start Achan if you have him.
Yep. Take those parlays.
He doesn't get hurt.
Exactly.
He's McCaffrey 2.0, basically.
Yep.
Now, these next two games I'm going to combine. This isn't really a desperation situation. However, to your point about games being ugly, these two games could get ugly very quickly. One of which is the Lions head into Cincinnati. Yikes. And New England going up to Buffalo.
Okay, out of these two games, I think the New England-Buffalo game is going to be more competitive. There's no doubt in my mind. I think it's going to be competitive. I think Buffalo will win, but I think New England will put up a fight.
By competitive, you mean lose by 20 instead of lose by 50.
It's a division game, and you don't know. Like I don't think Buffalo's going to blow New England out. I think they'll win, but I don't think they're going to beat them by 3 scores or anything like that. I think
Buffalo has a hard time blowing teams out. It's very, very rare that they do.
They exactly they play well, and once they get ahead, they kind of keep them at bay, and it's just they do enough to win. But they do it, and it just Josh does what Josh does. It'll be an entertaining game, but it'll be a lot more competitive than this Detroit-Cincinnati game. This is going to be a hot mess. Take any player on Detroit because they're going to get you fantasy points. They're going to put up a 50 burger. This Cincinnati defense is hideous. They can't score. At this point, just sit Chase and Higgins. I don't know.
Right? No point.
They can't run the ball. Browning, I give the guy a whole bunch of credit. You've got these weapons, but for some reason he just can't. He's just not the guy. And unfortunately, this is a situation where the dreams of Cincinnati Bengals fans have gone down with Joe Burrow yet again. Now, who knows? Go ahead.
Would you go as far as to say, because we saw they gave up 48 points to the Vikings, and the Lions have a way better offense than the Vikings. If they were to give up a 50 spot, would you go as far as say, Zach Taylor, you're gone?
Can you blame? How do I blame this? How do I blame him when when my starting all-pro, maybe the best quarterback in the league, everybody likes to pump their chest about, is always hurt. A coach can only do so much. yes, game plan and all of that. But if your star quarterback isn't available and hurt, this is what you have for your backup. There's nothing you can do. The backup's going to do so much. You never plan for your backup to literally play, 3/4 of a season every year, like it seems like it is in Cincinnati. If Cincinnati was hell bent on saving this season, what you do is you look around the league and say, is there anybody serviceable that's better than Jake Browning? And you trade for that and you try to save the season. Because you can't.
Look good in stripes.
San Fran said, "Kiss my butt." You ain't getting that. Kirk Cousins. Would you, okay? One game to win. Are you taking Browning? Or are you taking Kirk Cousins? One game to win.
God, that's rough.
Now, mind you, Kurt was hurt last year.
He was.
Okay, so it's the Kurt from 2 years ago. Let's say Kurt is at that. It's 2 years ago, Kurt, right now.
But this isn't necessarily a one game to win situation. This is we need somebody to hang around for a few years because Joe Burrow is not old, but he can never stay healthy. We need someone to sit in the wings and be ready to play and be a Super Bowl contending quarterback.
You are Cincinnati. You're looking just to hopefully turn this around so you're competitive in December. That's all it is, because you're hoping that maybe Burrow comes back. If Kirk Cousins you were able to get Cousins and he was able to play 500 plus ball, you would take that because Browning isn't going to give you that.
Well, this year 500 plus ball may be enough because of we know our Baltimore discussions in the past, and who knows what Pittsburgh is going to do by the end of it.
No, exactly. But the way Cincinnati's playing, you're gonna be lucky to win 4 games.
This is very true.
So if you can get Kirk Cousins and he can get you 9, and maybe you backdoor your way into the playoffs, at least you're competitive, or at least he keeps you afloat till Joe comes back, and Joe can be Joe and healthy, and you back your way into the playoffs. Then Kirk Cousins has done what he's needed to do. You tell him thank you. You want to leave and go back and go free agent, then you go ahead, or you that's it, because he doesn't want to be a backup unless all of a sudden he loves Cincinnati and wants to chill there. Then go ahead. But you want to win, and right now you guys can't score points. You can't do anything.
Yeah. Well, no one's ever saying that about us, Bucs, McGee. There's a lot of yuck this week. There's a few gems in there, and I think there's some lines in the sand are going to be drawn with divisions. The Ravens will stay in the fraudulent penthouse, likely. Bucs, McGee, give us your final thoughts on Week 5.
Like you said, there's diamonds in the rough, and in some of these games, there's some diamonds in. There's a lot of rough. I'm telling you, give Jacksonville some love, man. This Jacksonville could be the team that starts the true end to the Chiefs dynasty. And you know what? Sorry, man. I'm all for it. But overall, I think it's going to be a fun week. We'll see what happens. And once the dust settles, could be some coaches on their way out. Could be some teams already planning for next year. But either way, the Saints aren't winning.